Places in this world where time stands still. Forgotten corners that the rest of the world has turned its back on. Places where the wind carries only silence, and the earth is heavy with the weight of stories left untold. It was in one such place that I first saw it. Not parked, not stored, but abandoned. The ground was soft and damp, a mixture of rainwater and years of rotting leaves. Old cans, broken bottles, twisted pieces of scrap metal. The land was a graveyard of forgotten machines. And there, right in the center of it all, sat the car. It wasn't just damaged, it looked defeated, half sunk into the mud, surrounded by puddles of stagnant water that mirrored the gray sky above. Rust had spread across its body like an infection. Vines crawled over its wheels, and moss clung stubbornly to its edges. The windshield was cracked beyond recognition, spiderweb lines branching out like old battle scars. I stopped in my tracks. Most people would have just walked away, seen it as nothing more than a useless heap of metal. But I couldn't. There was something about it, something I can't explain. In the middle of all that decay, I saw a spark. I stepped closer, the smell of wet earth mixed with the faint, sharp tang of corroded metal. My boots sank with each step, the mud gripping at them as if trying to hold me back. But I reached out anyway, letting my fingers trace the cold, rough surface of the car's door. It was silent. It was still. But it was alive, in its own way. In that moment, I made a promise. Not out loud, not even in words. But deep inside, I told this forgotten machine, I'll bring you back. The first thing I did was simple. I gave it a chance to breathe again. I brought buckets of clean water, pouring them slowly over its battered frame. The dirt and grime clung to it stubbornly, as if afraid to let go. But with each splash, I could see glimpses of its old self. A faint shimmer of paint here, a small reflection there. The years of neglect began to wash away, little by little. But it was still trapped in this place, its prison. I knew I had to move it. That meant calling in help. A tractor rumbled into the clearing, its engine echoing against the quiet trees. I wrapped the chain tightly around the car's frame, the metal groaning in protest. The moment the tractor pulled, the car lurched forward, water and mud cascading from its underbelly. It felt like I was pulling something not just from the ground, but from the edge of death itself. The wheels rolled, stiff, reluctant, as if each turn was a reminder of a time long forgotten. As the car broke free from the mud, sunlight struck it for the first time in years. The light bounced off its rusted surface, and for a second I saw it not for what it was, but for what it could be. I brought it home, not just to repair it, but to give it back the dignity it had once known. In my yard, the real work began. I opened the hood, and there it was. Silence. The engine sat there, lifeless. Dust covered every inch, wires were frayed, bolts frozen in place. It felt less like a machine and more like a relic dug from the earth. I worked late into the night. The sound of tools filled the air, breaking the long-held silence. My hands moved through grease and grit, loosening bolts that hadn't moved in years. Every part I removed told me a story. Of roads traveled, of storms weathered, of miles and memories. The days blurred together. Morning light found me still working, and nightfall didn't stop me. My hands ached, my back was sore, but I didn't stop. I replaced what was broken. I cleaned what was still good. I polished what could shine again. And slowly, it began to change. The rust faded under fresh metal. The torn seats were stitched and restored. The cracked glass gave way to new windows, clear and sharp. The tires, once sagging in defeat, now stood tall and firm. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. The first attempt to start the engine. I turned the key. Nothing. I tried again. A small cough, a faint spark, and then, suddenly, it came alive. The roar was rough, unpolished, but it was real. In that sound, I didn't just hear an engine. I heard hope. I heard victory. When it was finally ready, I stood back and looked at it. The ghost I had found in the mud was gone. In its place was a survivor. Proud, strong, and ready to face the road once more. This wasn't just the story of fixing a car. This was the story of saving something that the world had already given up on.